Hi.
Hey, Nadia.
I am so honored uh, to be here today and just so full of hope and the advocate in me that there's a discussion like this and that you put into words how we can change the system's responses to trauma, to not have re-traumatization. You've given us the language, so thank you. So my question is, how can we best implement cross-training practices between various ports of entry a survivor may interact with, for example, law enforcement, social services, addiction, treatment centers, and trauma somatic specialists to create a more trauma-informed, responsive world? I call them ports of entry because I feel like they're lost opportunities whenever somebody just has that first touch with the system.
Mhm.
So, the cross training.
Yeah, totally. Do you work in
Yeah.
the system?
I was executive director of the Alameda County Family Justice Center that brought together the Oakland Special Victims Unit, nonprofit DV agencies, social
Yeah,
services, childcare, healthcare, everything in one building. And so I saw it and I see it happening
yeah.
in interpersonal violence.
Mhm.
They're not doing necessarily the trauma angle with cross training quite yet. And that's something that I have begun discussions on. But how would you suggest, with a trauma focus specifically?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for that work. The more of those centers where we're actually living in the same space, talking to each other,
Yes.
and then starting to come up with a shared social analysis, right? And then a shared understanding of how change happens, the better. So thank you. That's a lot of work to be the ED of that. Um, okay, so let me say some of how I've seen it happen, and then maybe some new ideas. So often it is a person or two in the system who sees what's needed and starts to do the change work, So, uh, in many ways, obviously, ongoing training is a part of it. So, any of us who are in institutions where ongoing training is part of what we do, if you can be the one to advocate both for trauma healing training, right? And as you all know, it's like have it be grounded in the psychobiology, have it be grounded in some level of embodiment because it's where it is, that's how it gets repeated, right? And then if it's possible, right, to go, what is our understanding of the root causes of these harms? Right? That's what I mean about having a social analysis. If together we can go, wait, why is there so much violence? Why is there so much child abuse? Right? If we can kind of go, what are the root causes, and help to build people's social analysis or intersectional analysis is important, because then people start seeing the problem differently and looking for different solutions.
Mm.
Um, And in some ways, and maybe this is the pragmatist in me, there is so much happening online now that's much, much more accessible than having a person come in and having to train. Now, we want that in-person training because we change and learn more that way. But when I think about the number of online programs where folks can basically take the online program with a small group of people, have some discussion questions, and it can be pretty self-led.
Yeah.
So if you need 250 people to run through a program, it's like, great, let's go to this online program. Here's your study guide questions. Here's your group of 6, run through it together within the next 3 months. And it can be a pretty effective way to get a larger number of people trained. What do you think about all that? Or what would you add, Nadia?
I think that's great, especially for the frontliners. Uh, if there was a component of specialists specifically in somatics,
Yeah.
the therapists do cross train. They cross train the special victims unit to understand,
Yeah.
the victim's perspective and and then the special victims unit cross-trained the DV advocates to understand where they're coming from. And just that understanding provided a more safe feeling for a victim when they walked in the door, that just one thing wasn't going to happen right away. They were able to do safety planning and other things of the sort, and both professionals understood. So if something like that can happen with somatic and trauma specialists, therapists, I do think that it would change our responses to what often is a trauma response that may have caused another set of abusive actions. So I think it's a whole nother layer that needs to be added, for sure.
I agree with you. And I also think it helps people working in the field start to look at themselves.
Yes.
Oh, wow, I'm around this all the time. I'm getting more and more reactive, right? I mean, there's more talk about secondary trauma, but what's so, to me, useful about somatics is people can learn to track their own reactions internally and pivot and change them,
Very
know
good
how to
point.
warm up, know how to cool down. It's so pragmatic, some of the skills and tools. And then I'll throw one more thing into your vision, because I think it's good. It's like, also when a survivor comes in, how can that person have multiple choices? So there's a choice for healing. There could be a choice for like, oh, I actually don't want to go the criminal legal route. Actually,
or don't do anything. Yes.
I want to go the transformative justice route. Or what I really want is, because I know this person, I want them to have access to change. Just the multiple, how are there more transformative options?
Right.
Than some of the punishment-based ones, which is what you're already saying. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. I'm going to be pondering on this question of like, right, how could we have the trauma and somatics pieces be available, really available, including the practice part of them?
The Family Justice Center models have been expanded all over the world. San Diego and Alameda County were the first. So it is a space in change where something like this could happen. So I would love to talk to you more.
Cool. You can get my info from Teresa.
Okay.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your work.